All right, welcome into the New England Nation Overtime Podcast. Aniekan Okon here, sports reporter and anchor here at WPRI. A lot to talk about. The Patriots winning streak, a thing of the past now, and that's where I'll bring in Sophie Weller from the Patriots Wire. Sophie, obviously you were there, caught a tale of two halves. Just to kind of get things started, kind of what was the biggest takeaway from that performance against the Bills?
I think it was just the difference in the defense from the first half to the second half. First half, they were stopping the run. They were preventing Josh Allen from really being Josh Allen. And all of a sudden in the second half, you have Josh Allen looking like, his MVP self, which he's capable of. But then you have James Cook coming out and getting the run game going a little bit more. And it was kind of a defensive collapse in that second half that really is what led to the loss.
A lot of people I've talked to have said that, Patriots obviously in the thick of the AFC East race and the AFC playoff race. But some have said, like, maybe this is a good thing that, you take this loss now, you're able to retool ahead of another stretch. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, for sure. And actually, Stefan Diggs said that, as did Garrett Bradbury kind of today. They're not saying like they needed a wake up call. I don't think this team has been very humble through 10 losses, but when you don't lose for over 2 months, you're kind of riding a high. Your mentality is a little different. They have this loss now that's come towards the end of the season in a good way. It's against the Bills. It's, I'm going to say it's a wake up call. They didn't need one, but it is one. And with that, it'll give them this new motivation, and it also lets them know they're not, that they can be beat. They're not this team that's just going to ride the coattails all the way to the playoffs, into the Super Bowl, win it, and call it, a year. No, like, you still have a lot of improvement, a lot of ways that you need, a lot of things you need to fix, and this highlighted those in a very prominent and public way. But it wasn't a bad thing. It was I think it was it Garrett today, or it was either Garrett or Mike. I can't remember who. One of them said, "We're disappointed but not discouraged." And I think that's such a key motto for this team this week, is that, yeah, it's no one wants to lose. Who wants to lose a game? But they're not discouraged. They still know that they have every piece necessary to get far and to win it all. They just need to get over this hump and show that they've learned from it.
Do you feel like this game and this performance? I know, obviously, a lot on the line. The Patriots having a chance to clinch the division for the first time since that last Super Bowl. But looking at the season, looking at the run that the Patriots have been on, does the performance change anything about what you thought about this team before the game?
No, it just means that they are beatable, and I think we knew that all along. There were some wins in this 10-game stretch that they had where they didn't play their best football, but they, had key moments when it mattered, and that's what led to the win. All this shows was that, you can be beat, and there's some really good football teams in this league, one of which has one of the best quarterbacks in the league and who can come back from a 21-point deficit like it's nothing. Like he's only down by one touchdown. So it's a learning lesson for these guys, but there's a good mix of veterans and younger players. And even the younger players, they don't show that in the way that they talk. They understand the loss. They aren't upset about it. They understand, turn the page. It's on to the next week. And I think Drake is key at that, for just being a second-year quarterback. He's the one who's like, okay, wasn't my best game. And I don't think it was his. I think out of all the seasons, it was probably one of the worst for him, actually, in some ways. But he's already flipped the page. He's ready to go. And it's all eyes on Baltimore.
And I think that's kind of, a good thing to see because, this, of course, is a young team. And Vrabel has had many different things thrown at his way. But, looking at this could be a challenge in itself of, not letting this, snowball into, a losing streak in a way. And kind of how do you see Vrabel kind of preventing that going forward?
I don't. As they said, they're disappointed, they're not discouraged. And I think that right there says it all, that I don't think they're worried about a losing streak necessarily. I mean, this was a game that really was, they were the underdogs. And I mean, if you're going to look at it by the betting odds, they're the underdogs despite a 10, leading the division, 10 wins in a row. And they lost. The Buffalo Bills beat them. They were the better team at the end of the day. Now, that being said, they're going into Baltimore. They're going to play their same football they've been playing. There were a lot of positives, as Mike said, to take away from this last game. I mean, the run game is a huge one. They've found such a perfect mix for Travion Henderson, I think, and Ramondre now that it's clicking on all cylinders. You have your wide receivers who are have the good depth and they're going to make plays. And, your offensive line, you got Jared back and Vidarian Lowe. And Vidarian Lowe, you can say what you want. I think he is doing a stellar job filling in for Will Campbell. I have no, yes, he's going to make mistakes, but so does Will in every game. Will had some mistakes, and it's not a bad thing. Like a clean sheet in a game is a very hard thing to do.
Yeah.
But they've both been so good this season, and Vidarian is stepping up when they need him to.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't have the number off of my head, but I know with a lot of fans, the concern with Vidarian would be the mistakes, the holdings. I think to the last 2 games, the Giants, I don't think he's had any, which
he had one penalty this past game.
Okay. All right. But even that, you'll take that considering, he's covering Drake's blind side and, he's playing in such a crucial portion of the season.
No, for sure. He deserves a lot of credit for stepping in, but I also think like he was that one guy that when Vrabel kept him, or when it was kind of like when the roster was being set and it's like, yeah, Vidarian Lowe is a lock. He turned over this whole roster, but Vidarian Lowe was one of the few from the, previous season that was kept. And that right there to me says it all, that this was clearly a guy that fit in with what Vrabel wanted to do. And it's showing now on the field.
Yeah, definitely. All right. That's it with the offense. We're going to flip after this break to talk about the defense. Allowed 23-plus points for the first time since that win at Miami. We'll dive into that right after this. All right, welcome back into the New England Nation Overtime Podcast. Aniekan Okon here with Sophie Weller of the Patriots Wire. The Patriots' 10-game winning streak, unfortunately, a thing of the past. The Patriots falling 35-31 this past weekend. Sophie, we were talking a little bit about it before that first break, but the defense has been great for the Patriots so far this season, but 23 points kind of has been the determining of, whether the Patriots win or lose. And the Bills, 35 points in this one. First time that the defense has allowed more than 23 points since that Week 2 win at Miami. Kind of just what do you have to do to kind of get that defense back on track?
Well, I think you're seeing the true impact of Milton Williams, first and foremost. When he's out there, it's a different defense. Now, that being said, you don't have him this week either. And you won, 2 games already without him. So it's possible. That being said, they need to clean up the run because James Cook, I mean, even on carries where it didn't seem like he was getting much, it was at the yards after contact. It seemed like it was like, at least 7 yards on every run. He was just plowing through and then pushing to get him the extra yardage. It was working. The same thing, you're going to have a mobile quarterback. You had Josh Allen. With Lamar, it's a very mobile quarterback with a very good running back. Now, the Ravens have had their fair share of struggles, specifically with turnovers. That's where this defense should be focusing on because they have not been able to force many turnovers. As good as they've been in certain situations, that has been one key area that they can improve on. And with the opportunity they have this weekend against the Ravens, who have shown plenty of opportunities for other teams, they should be taking advantage of that.
Yeah, the Ravens, kind of a night and day team. We saw they beat the Bengals this past week, shut them out, but completely different game, when they played them 2-3 weeks ago at home against the Bengals. But another point I do want to bring up, and just scrolling on social media after the game, and we're recording this on a Monday, of course, still people talking about it, of course, is the Marcus Jones PI? Do you call it a PI? Before we kind of dive into that play, kind of just what were your thoughts on kind of that whole situation?
Yeah, I think that there were some controversial calls for sure. The Carlton Davis one, I agree that the flag, he kind of said it best, but it was like that flag was thrown so late. Why was that coming in so late? And it was also a very soft call when you watch it back. Um, it's just to me with those type of things, if you're gonna call it, that's okay, but you need to call it consistently. And that I think is where the Patriots have their issue. And I think Mike Vrabel kind of touched on that today, is that it just wasn't consistent. It was, it felt like, Buffalo gets away with something and then Patriots get called for it. And listen, every team's going to complain about a call here or there. And at the same time, Vrabel's top quote today: "We did not lose because of the penalties." That right there says it. Like, he's not blaming the officiating. Yes, he had some issues with it. Every game you're going to have an issue with it, but he's not blaming that for the loss.
No, specifically with that Marcus Jones PI, kind of for viewers who aren't as versed in the game, kind of why did the officials go with the ruling that they had in that moment?
Honestly, I have to look closer at like the explanation of that one. To me, he made a great defensive play. I will be very honest with you. From what I saw, I didn't really see much on that one. I thought Marcus just defended well and was able to, I didn't see it even as a catch. I thought he got it, he broke that up, but they saw it a different way. They're also on the field and I'm watching from way up top. So that was my opinion on it, but I would, welcome to hear like the explanation behind that call a little bit more.
At least what I've read is when it's kind of like a bang bang play like that, they rule it to the offense, which, take that explanation the way you want it. But I kind of feel for Marcus because it's just such a play. He was able to get his head around the ball and then just time it perfectly to make the catch.
Yeah.
But it doesn't go your way. But, that's football sometimes. The ball doesn't bounce your way. And you still have to kind of, make the plays. And that, not to say that play was the lone reason why the Patriots lost this one, but that
it was a big play.
Right, because it led to because it led to the Dawson Knox touchdown that gave Buffalo their first lead of the game. But kind of just looking at, of course, next week, Ravens. Chance to kind of bounce back in that one. Kind of just what are your initial thoughts on that matchup and kind of that opportunity that it presents for the Patriots?
They have an opportunity to get back on track today. And as much as the Ravens' record might not reflect it, they're a good football team. They come with a lot of challenges. As I said, the two biggest ones right there are Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. And then on top of that, their defense is making plays in key moments. They also have a former Patriot, Kyle Van Noy, who's a very, very good defensive player. So, this is no game is going to be a walk in the park. It's the NFL. And they say that, they were saying that about the Jets game. This is kind of similar. Like the records this season, more so than I think I've ever seen, don't reflect the caliber team they're playing. These are good football teams and they have the talent. It's been a wonky season. I think we can all agree with that. With, Chiefs getting eliminated yesterday. Like if you were to tell me in September that was going to happen, I'd probably been like, where have you been the last few years? So every week is different. We're seeing that now and they need to be prepared to be watching that film. But I'll say it. I said it before. I'll say it again. I think turnovers are key for this defense. And I think for the offense, if they can get the run game going the way that they did against Buffalo, it's going to be a successful game.
Yeah, to the Ravens' credit, I think 1-5 to start this season, but they're 7-6 at this point. So it kind of tells you, they have the talent. We know that, and they've been able to claw themselves out of it. It also helps, the division that they play in, where the other teams have kind of helped them kind of get into it, but yeah, no. After the break, we'll talk about the AFC playoff picture. A lot kind of going on. Patrick Mahomes, how does that change things for the AFC as well as for the Patriots, who are hoping to secure their spot in the playoffs in the next couple weeks. All right, welcome back to the New England Nation Overtime Podcast. Aniekan Okon here with Sophie Weller of the Patriots Wire. The Patriots now 11-3 on the season. Their 10-game winning streak now a thing of the past. Sophie, obviously that loss kind of changes things with the AFC playoff picture. I have it in front of me. Right now, Broncos now have a firm one-game lead of that one spot. Then it's the Patriots at the second spot. The Jaguars are behind them at 10-4. Steelers 7-6. The Chargers 10-4. Bills 10-4. And then the Texans hold that third and final wild card spot at 9-5. Kind of a little interesting, like we said, no Chiefs. They have officially been eliminated from playoff contention, but just how fun is it to see that there's different teams in the mix, and how interesting it's going to be just the next couple weeks.
I love this type of season. Like, this is what it's all about. This is coming in, you never know what's going to happen, and then look at what happened. Like, the Chiefs were eliminated. We're staring, what was it, the first time? I forget the year, but it was like they posted a graphic. It was the first time in a lot of...
It's 2014, yeah.
Yeah, so something like that. Well, since the Chiefs made it, but then you're also staring at, it's like the first playoff in however many years that it's no Peyton, no Tom, and now no Mahomes. So it's like this crazy thing, and it's so wide open. So with the Broncos, I think they're a very good football team. Now, that being said, they defeated the Green Bay, which was a tough opponent. They still have 3 tough opponents. Now, with the Chiefs losing Patrick Mahomes, you're looking at that one as they will likely pull that one out if all goes according to plan. But they still have 2. They have the Chargers and the Jaguars to end the season. Or not end. They have Jaguars this week, Chiefs, and then Chargers. Those are not gimme games. Those are some very tough games. If the Patriots win out and the Chargers drop 2, I believe, Patriots should have, I believe that's, if I did the math correctly, Patriots should have the number 1 seed. That's what has to happen. Now, what's hard is it was never fully in their hands, but to stay next to, it would have been, it was nicer when they were same record, and then all they needed was the Broncos to drop 1 to move up. Now it's contingent on them losing 2 in these last 3 games. That being said, they still have a 99% chance to make the playoffs. It's very funny. This week kind of does not have any factor on them for the playoffs. They should, get the win because the first seed is still up for grabs, but this isn't necessarily like a clinching scenario for them. I think I'll have to wait to see what like the other game outcomes could affect it. I'm sure there's some here and there, but I believe just a win doesn't guarantee them a spot.
Do you after this Bills loss, do you still feel like the Patriots are in play for that 1 seed, or is it they're gonna have their work cut out for them?
You watch that first half team, I think that team can beat anyone in the NFL right now. But they need to play full 60 minutes of football. That's what it really comes down to. That's what didn't happen. You played 30 and then totally dropped off. You need to have the complete game. And that's what's so I still think, again, it's a wide open NFL this season. And I think that anyone can beat anyone right now. Like, I don't know who's going to be hosting that Lombardi Trophy in February. It could be the Patriots, but they have to play a full game, and that did not happen on Sunday, and that's why they lost to the Bills.
Looking at the other side of the NFL, obviously the NFC, probably a little bit more teams that we're familiar with trying to pull up the NFC standings. The Rams, the 1 seed, the Bears, 2 seed right now, Eagles 3, Buccaneers 4, Seahawks 5, Niners 6, Packers 7. On that side of the conference, kind of who do you like on that end?
The Rams. To me, the 2 best teams in football right now in the NFL, one from each conference, right? The Broncos. They've been playing a complete game. They're playing as a team. That's a good football team right now, and that's going to be a hard team to beat in the playoffs. On the other side, it's the Rams. It's both the 1 seeds right now. The Rams are a really tough football team. Now, they just lost Devontae Adams for some time, it sounds like, with that hamstring injury. But regardless, you have a quarterback who can play some football, and those to me are the two teams that are putting together complete games week in and week out and aren't kind of going up and down like some of the other teams are.
Yeah, and Stafford, what is it? I don't know his age off the top of my head, but just,
It's not Phillip Rivers, so.
Yeah, no, not Phillip Rivers. But I think just for anyone who enjoys football, for how his early career went, for him to experience the success that he's having now is just so nice. And especially like Sean McVay, probably one of the more likable figures in the NFL. It's good to see that, they're having the season that they have.
No, for sure. Those are two tough, I still think it's anyone's game. Like anyone could come out and beat them in the playoffs, but to me, those are the two teams to beat in the playoffs. Those are two very good football teams that, are making the headlines, that are doing what they need to do to show that they should be the number one seed. It's still in the Patriots' hands. They still have what it takes to get that top seed. And again, the Broncos' schedule could help with that. But just from where I'm sitting after week 15, that's my take on the top two teams in the NFL.
Got it. Going back to the Patriots, I know we got a couple more minutes here, but biggest X factor heading into that Ravens matchup?
I think it's the run game. I do. I think that if you can get that going again, I mean, just give Travion Henderson. If you can get him past that defense, he's gonna go somewhere. He's taking it. So, but I also Ramondre is playing he's really bodying his way through the middle, and he's getting some good runs in there. I think that Josh McDaniels has found that balance, and I really want to see that continue to grow and to be, what it can be. Because I think we got a taste of that this weekend, but we haven't seen it all yet.
And it was kind of interesting to see, going off the run game, adding the element of the Drake May design runs and kind of what that kind of adds to your offense.
I think Josh McDaniels just read Twitter last year and saw that every Patriots. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean, seeing Drake have some design runs, and I like that they're doing it in the red zone. I don't know necessarily he's going to find those, he's going to do his own read, and he's going to find those openings on the field, but you had this red zone issue. And honestly, when I go back and watch the film, a lot of times I am seeing that they're, they know Drake's looking to throw the ball into the end zone. So they're well covered, but the middle of the field is kind of open. I like that now they're taking advantage of that because I think you have a quarterback who can do so. So that was really great to see that. Do it conservatively though, because he's your quarterback. Be careful.
Right.
But it was nice to see that they were trying, giving him some more design runs and letting him be the Drake May that we all, that we all knew he was coming out of college in a way.
Yeah, definitely. You got to find that balance of protecting the franchise. But Patriots, big opportunity this upcoming week against the Ravens, hoping to bounce back. Fourth primetime matchup for them. It'll be interesting to see how that one unfolds. But that is it for us. Sophie, thank you so much for the time. And, of course, Patriots, big opportunity this upcoming week against the Ravens. We'll see how that one is going to go. But that is it for the New England Nation Overtime podcast. We'll see you next week.